Namaste students, welcome to this session of our class in political science. We were discussing the social movements and their political implications. Continuing the concept, today we are going to study one more important social movement, that is the labor movement. So, labor and laborer. So, labor movement mainly relates to the movement by the working class of the society. The working class of the society is also one of the exploited or the suppressed class of the society. In the very beginning of this chapter, I quoted a definition of Karl Marx, and that definition mainly relates to this chapter. Particularly, it relates to this chapter, this concept. The definition was what I quoted: unite the workers of the world. You are going to lose the shackles of slavery and nothing else. Unite the workers of the world. You are going to lose the shackles of slavery and nothing else. Karl Marx, a noted socialist thinker, a philosopher, father of communism, he mainly worked for the workers' emancipation. He said the hitherto history is the history of class struggle. He advocated the class struggle between the haves and have-nots. According to his opinion, the haves were the owners of the means of production, and have-nots are the poor people or the workers who does not have any property, and they are almost the slaves under the haves. So his interpretation is called the materialistic interpretation, where he clearly highlights the rate of exploitation which was made in the capitalist society. The exploitation was against the workers or the labor class. His theory is a labor oriented theory, where the capitalists earn the profit by exploiting the labor class. That means the laborers are the main factors who are responsible for the profit. But the capitalist does not give any share from this profit to the working class or the labor class. That's why he advocated a class struggle by uniting the working class against the capitalist exploitation, against the haves. So that idea is mainly relates to the labor movement. So come to this point. The laborer. Who is the laborer? So laborers are those people, make it clear for to Marx, laborers are those people who invest their physical strength, either in industry or in agriculture. So they are the workers who invest their physical strength either in industry or in agriculture. They will get wages which are essential for their livelihood. The owner will pay the wages for their work, which is very essential for his livelihood. But in most of the cases, these workers or the labor class are exploited in many ways because they are getting minimum wages which is not sufficient to maintain his family, or even the daily life of the working class is miserable because of the meager wages he is getting for his work. So sometimes his life is also in danger under the mysterious conditions of work. So in order to get the better facilities, better working conditions, better salary, and even to get social welfare measures or programs, these workers united together and went for agitation. So in this way the labor movement has been started. So in order to get better facilities, better wages, these labor class united together and they went for agitation. So labor movement has been started. So here in this concept we have to discuss the main idea, that is the causes of the labor movement. It is a 5-mark question in the examination. Usually the question may be asked in the examination, what are the causes of the labor movement? Explain. So we have to discuss in one by one the various causes of the labor movement. So first important cause for the labor movement is the negligence of the interests of the laborers. The negligence of the interests of the laborers. Generally, the industrialists or the capitalists or the owners of production, they concentrate only on their profit rather than the workers' interest. They are giving more importance to get more and more profit, and they are least bothered about the working class interest. The working class or the labor class are exploited in various ways by paying low wages, denying the bonus, extended hours of work, denial of medical facilities to the working class, then dismissal from the service. These are the various problems faced by the working class under the industrialists. So you have the experience. Today we are in the LPG or liberalization, privatization and globalization, which we can call it as the new economic policy. So under the new economic policy, the condition of the working class become pathetic. There is no security to the life of the working class because the owners of means of production or the industrialists, they are giving more importance to the profit. If they does not get profit, they even sack the working class. There is no question of working class organization, trade unions, or even regarding asking for better facilities. Almost the condition of the working class today as a contract workers. The owners may dismiss the workers at any time. So in order to safeguard the interest, they have to unite together. There is no other option. So there is a complete negligence of the working class interest. So even before independence itself, in 1920, for your information, in 1920, for the first time, a labor organization was formed in India, that was All India Trade Union Congress, ITUC. Shortly it is called as ITUC, AITUC. All India Trade Union Congress was established in 1920, mainly to get the legal recognition by the it got the legal recognition by the British government, and it worked for the interest of the working class. So in 1920, a labor organization was formed in India. It was called All India Trade Union Congress. Still this particular organization is working in India. It is one of the important trade union organization today also. So it got the legal recognition by the British government even before independent days itself. So main purpose of this organization was to fight for the cause of the working class in order to safeguard the interests of the working class. So that's why complete negligence of the interest of the labor class led to the formation of the workers' union. They organized themselves and fought for their cause. The second important reason is the negligence towards employees. Negligence towards employees. Here one thing you must remember. In the industries or in the companies, there is an apex or decision making body. What is going on in the industry or in the companies is the apex body will take almost all the decisions concerning the working class. Even the decisions regarding the working class or interests of the working class are taken by the apex body of the company or the industry. In this apex body of the company, there is no representation to the working class. The decisions regarding the working class are taken by the apex body of the company, where the working class does not have their representation. So naturally, the interest of the labor class were neglected, because the capitalists or the owners, they always have their selfish motive. They will protect their own interest rather than the interest of the working class. So this widened the gap between the owner and the workers. The relationship between the owner and the worker has been worsened. There was a gap between the two sections of the society. Hostile relationship has been developed. So the working class started agitation. Why? They started agitation to have a share in the decision making process of the company, to have a representation in the apex body of the company, and also to increase their status, they started uniting together. So in brief, in the company, almost all the decisions are taken by the apex body, where the workers does not have their representation. Without the representation of the working class, The decisions regarding working class is almost impossible. The owners will always neglect the interest of the working class. Because of that reason, a hostile relationship has been developed between the owner and the working class. So, they united together and they fought to have a share in the apex body of the company to make decisions regarding the working class interest and also to increase their status in the company. They agitated. So, it is the second reason for the labor movement. The third reason is to get facilities. The workers need proper facilities or the leisure, even the leisure, in order to safeguard their physical strength, in order to avoid any kind of physical strain. It is also necessary to maintain their physical and mental strength, or even health protection is very important. Otherwise, they cannot continue in work. So, in order to maintain their health or their mental stability, what is necessary? The necessity is better facilities. The companies should give better facilities to the working class, suitable working class facilities or conditions which may strengthen the physical and mental strength of the working class. Now, the demand has been started by the working class. What is the demand? The demand is to get proper facilities like suitable drinking water, washroom facilities, cafeteria, restrooms, medical facilities. So, these are all the important demands of the working class in order to safeguard their interest, in order to avoid the physical strain. They need a leisure, they need facilities in order to protect themselves. They have to continue in the work, they have to protect their family. So, these facilities are necessary for the working class. So, in order to get these facilities, they agitated, they went for agitation. Then the fourth reason for the labor movement is the welfare programs. The working class is no doubt the backbone of the company, and the fate of the company is also mainly depends on the workers' welfare. The company can get profit only when the workers are properly worked. That's why they are the backbone of the company. So, the workers of the company united together and they started a movement. Why? To get certain social security measures. The workers also should have the social security measures, not only to protect themselves, even to protect their family. These social security measures are necessary. So, the social security measures like bonus, asking for bonus, that is a share from the profit. Then allowances, loans, insurance in order to protect their life, insurance facilities, free quarters, then transport and educational facilities, workmen compensation, pensions, family pensions. So, these are the demands of the working class in order to protect themselves and also to protect their family. So, social welfare demands, social welfare programs are demanded by the working class in order to safeguard their interest. So, they united together and fought for the welfare programs of the working class. Then another last important reason for the labor movement is the plight of the workers of unorganized sector. Today, a majority section of the working class, they are considered as the unorganized workers. Why they are called unorganized sector, unorganized workers? Because they don't have any security in their work. For example, the Anganwadi workers, daily wage workers, the agricultural laborers, they don't have any security. They are exploited a lot. They are working in a mysterious conditions. So, this unorganized sector of the society are exploited at the highest level. They can get work only in a season. Seasonal work will be provided to them. So, they are exploited at the highest level and they are still fighting for their rights. So, in order to protect the plight of the workers of unorganized sector, agitation has been started. Workers united together. Today we can see a lot of unorganized sectors, workers of unorganized sectors are uniting together, formed their own associations and they are urging for their rights. They are making the demands before the government. The government also had taken several measures in order to protect the interest of the unorganized sectors. So, these are the important causes for the labor movement. So, first one is negligence of the interest of the labor class. Second one, negligence towards employees. Third one, to get facilities. Fourth, welfare programs. Then fifth one is plight of the workers of unorganized sector. Yes. Because of these reasons, the workers united together and made their agitation. Because of the agitation of the working class, many measures were implemented by the government. Many legislations were made by the government in order to meet the demands of the workers. So, what are the various measures taken by the government? So, political implications. Students, make it clear. It is also one of the important question in the examination, that is, explain the political implications of a labor movement for 5 marks. So, you must be clear about this. Political implications. So, in order to meet the demands of the working class, the government has taken several measures to protect their interest. So, what are the important measures taken by the government? So, first one is the constitutional provisions. Constitutional provisions or the measures taken by the government. Under part 4th of the Indian Constitution, I think almost all of you have this part 4th, which mainly deals about the directive principles of state policy. Under part 4th of the Indian Constitution, directive principles of state policy, it directs the state government to adopt several socialist measures. Several socialist measures like equal pay for equal work, like equal pay for equal work both to men and women. Then providing maternity leave facilities to the pregnant women in order to make prenatal and postnatal care. Providing maternity leave for the pregnant women in order to make the prenatal and postnatal care. So first equal pay for equal work, then maternity leave for the pregnant women, mainly to make a prenatal and postnatal care. And apart from this, the concurrent list of our constitution, concurrent list, you know, concurrent list, where both the central government and the state government have the equal power to make the laws from the concurrent subject. So from the concurrent list of the constitution, it empowers the government, either central or the state government, empowers the government to legislate on the welfare of the workers. They can make, the central government and the state government can make laws on the welfare of the workers under the concurrent list. So concurrent list, where both central and the state government can make legislation on workers' welfare. So these are the constitutional provisions provided by the Constitution of India, Part 4th of the Indian Constitution on Directive Principles of State Policy, which directs the state government to make legislation on certain socialist, to take certain socialist measures like equal pay for equal work, providing maternity benefits to women to make prenatal and postnatal care. And under the concurrent list, the state and the central governments can legislate on any matters related to workers' welfare. So these are the constitutional provisions. Secondly, some important legislations were made by the government, that is called personal labor laws. Personal labor laws. Personal labor laws made by the government of India. In 1970, an important law was made, a labor law was made. 1970, important labor law was made, and this law fixed the wages of the contract workers, wages of the contract workers, one of the unorganized sector it is, contract workers. So it fixes the wages of the contract workers. That was the 1970 labor law. Apart from this, there are other laws were made by the government. The important laws made by the government are Workmen Compensation Act of 1923, Workmen Compensation Act of 1923, Salary Payment Act, Salary Payment Act of 1936, second one is a Salary Payment Act of 1936. Then third one, Weekly Holiday Act, Weekly Holiday Act of 1942, Weekly Holiday Act of 1942. Then Minimum Wages Act, Minimum Wages Act of 1948, Minimum Wages Act of 1948. Then Employees State Insurance Act, Employees State Insurance Act of 1948, and Bonus Act, Bonus Act of 1965. And one more act, Employees Provident Fund Act, Employees Provident Fund Act of 1952. So these are the important acts relates to the labor's welfare. Be clear, students, you have to mention any two labor laws which may be asked in the examination for 2 marks. Mention any 2 labor laws. So then you have to mention any 2 laws. So once again I will repeat, that is, first one is the Workmen Compensation Act of 1923, Salary Payment Act of 1936, Weekly Holiday Act of 1942, Minimum Wages Act of 1948, Employees State Insurance Act of 1948, Employees Provident Fund Act of 1952, and Bonus Act of 1965. So these are the important measures taken by the government in order to protect the interest of the working class. As already mentioned today, because of the liberalization policy, the labor unions almost lost its importance, because under the privatization, the industrial owners or the company owners, they become strong. They are providing least importance to the working class interest. More importantly, security of the working class is in danger under the privatization process. So anyhow, the working class today are making a united effort to fulfill their demands, and the government also had taken several measures in order to protect the interest of the working class. So now we have to know some of the important labor organizations in India. Some important labor organizations, not all, only few important labor organizations which represents the working class. Some labor organizations. Some labor organizations. So first you have to mention AITUC. Students, make it clear about the abbreviation. You have to expand this if the question asked for 1 mark. It is abbreviation AITUC. The full form is All India Trade Union Congress. All India Trade Union Congress. As already mentioned, All India Trade Union Congress was established in 1920. In the pre-independent period itself, it was established, and it had a belief in the socialist pattern of society. Socialist pattern of society. And after independence, All India Trade Union Congress came under the grip of the communists. Under the grip of the communists or Communist Party of India. The main demand of the All India Trade Union Congress is the nationalization of industries, protection of the labor rights, labor welfare, etc. Nationalization of industries, protection of labor rights, labor welfare, etc. are the important demands of the All India Trade Union Congress. It is one of the strong organization even today also, which is directly under the control of the communists. Then the second important labor organization in India is INTAC, or full form is Indian National Trade Union Congress. Indian National Trade Union Congress. Once again I will mention that it is also one of the important abbreviation. You have to expand for 1 mark. Indian National Trade Union Congress. This Indian National Trade Union Congress was established in 1947 due to a rift between the socialists and the congressmen in All India Trade Union Congress. The congressmen came out from the All India Trade Union Congress, from this organization, and formed a separate organization called Indian National Trade Union Congress. So this is a ideological difference between the socialists and the congressmen. So laterwards, the Congress party in India supported the Indian National Trade Union Congress movement. So INTEC is now supported by the Congress party indirectly, not directly, indirectly. It is a labor organization which is supported by the Congress party. Then the third important organization is Bharatiya Mazdoor Sangh, Bharatiya Mazdoor Sangh, BMS, Bharatiya Mazdoor Sangh. It was founded in 1955. In 1955, Bharatiya Mazdoor Sangh was founded by Dattopanta Tengadi. Dattopanta Tengadi, who formed Bharatiya Mazdoor Sangh. On the birthday of Balagangadhar Tilak, this organization was formed, and this particular organization mainly uphold the patriotic spirit among the working class. In order to promote the patriotic spirit among the labor class, this particular organization was formed. And this organization is estimated that nearly 5,860 small labor unions were affiliated to it. Small labor unions, they were affiliated to Bharatiya Mazdoor Sangh. And according to the labor ministry, according to its statistics in 2002, it estimated that BMS is one of the biggest labor organization in India. BMS is one of the biggest labor organization in India. Without having any international link, this particular organization is one of the strong organization in India. Then fourth one is CITU. CITU means Center for Indian Trade Union. Center for Indian Trade Union. CITU, Center for Indian Trade Union. S.A. Dhange and M.S. Namboodiripad. Students, be clear. S.A. Dhange and E.S. Namboodiripad. Two prominent communist leaders. Name any two communist leaders. Question may be asked in the examination. Name any two communist leaders. You can mention these two names. S.A. Dhange and E.S. Namboodiripad. E.S. Namboodiripad. E.M.S. Sorry for that. Make it clear. E.M.S. Namboodiripad. E.M.S. Namboodiripad. These two important communist leaders in AITUC, they came out from this organization because of some rift, ideological rift between the other leaders. Even within AITUC, some rightist and leftist ideology emerged, and it resulted with the split of AITUC, and these important leaders, communist leaders, they formed a separate organization called Center for Indian Trade Union Congress. So particularly these communists are very strong in certain parts of India, in certain states like Kerala, West Bengal, in Tripura, where communists are having a strong base, where these organizations are very popular. CITU or Center for Indian Trade Union. So apart from this, there are also several other small organizations like Hind Mazdoor Sabha, HMS, Hind Mazdoor Sabha, then Hind Mazdoor Panchayat, Hind Mazdoor Panchayat, then United Trade Union Congress, UTUC, United Trade Union Congress, etc. are important other organizations in India. There are so many small labor organizations which are working in India. So, but you have to remember these important organizations: AITUC, INTUC, BMS, CITU. The four are the major organizations in India. Yes. So, we completed the labor movement. As usual, labor movement is a movement of the working class. So, because of the labor movement, today the labor class are successful in getting certain meaningful reforms or measures by the government, and they are trying to prove their welfare and also standard of living of the workers. Particularly labor movements are trying to fulfill the welfare and standard of living of the workers. We are celebrating one important day for the working class, that we have to remember. In the examination point of view also, it is a common question, 1 mark question which is asked in the examination. Most probably, I think almost all of you know this. There is a day for the labor class. The day is May 1st, which is popularly called as a May Day. May Day, May 1st is considered as the Labor Day. It is a day for the working class, where by celebrating May Day or May 1st as a Labor Day or Workers' Day, we are giving a meaningful tribute to the working class or labor force and their movement. So, this proves their significance in the society. So, these things you have to study under the labor movement. Then another movement we have to discuss in the social movements, almost equal with the labor class. It is also one of the important working class in the society, exploited class in the society, and it is the peasant movement or the farmers movement. Peasant movement, or it is also called as a farmers movement. Farmers, peasant. We are very proud to say that India is an agriculturally based country. Nearly 70% of the Indians are the agriculturists. We are the proud children of the agriculturists. So, India is a country of villages and farmers, and the farmers are the backbone of India. They are the backbone of India. But in India, the farmers mainly depends on the monsoon. So, they are playing gamble with the monsoon. It is well said that Indian farmers are playing gamble with the monsoon. If monsoon fails, what will happen? It is difficult to meet the demands of their family and also profession. For a farmer, if the monsoon fails, it is difficult to meet the demands of their family and also their profession. To come out from this problem, what they will do? They will take loan either from the commercial banks or from the cooperative societies or from the money lenders or from other private financial institutions. Whether they are in a position to repay their loans, that is a problem. So when the monsoon fails, the workers will not get a favorable yield. So they are not in a position to repay their loan. Apart from this, the farmers in India are also facing several other problems like low quality seeds, lack of fertilizers, the problem of irrigation, suitable irrigation facilities are not provided in India, then inadequate supply of electricity, problem of mediators, improper price for their products, unscientific land acquisition by the government. So these are some of the important problems which the farmers in India are facing. They are not properly getting high quality seeds or fertilizers or subsidies, good rates or prices for their product. The problem of mediators, this is one of the important problem which the farmers today are facing. The mediators are making money, not the farmers. You may have the idea, when the price drops, particularly the tomato crops or onion crops where price drops, the farmers are throwing away their products. The mediators are fixing the prices today. They are purchasing the product from the farmers at low rate and they are selling the same product at high rate in the market. So in between, who are making money? The mediators, not the farmers. This is the worst problem in India the farmers are facing. So apart from this, the irrigation facilities are not provided, suitable electricity problems are there, the unscientific land acquisitions are there. So these are the problems of the farmers. So totally, because of all these problems, the condition of the peasant class in India become pathetic. So ultimately, when the farmer is unable to repay the loan, then what he will do? He will commit suicide. So farmer suicide is common in India. So many farmers committed suicide because they are not in a position to repay their loans. Because of this, the family of the farmer also was affected. So in order to safeguard the interest of the farmers, many leaders worked or struggled to safeguard their interest. Prominent leaders who fought for the cause of the farmers or peasant class in India were Chaudhary Charan Singh. Almost all of you have heard the name Chaudhary Charan Singh. He was the Prime Minister, former Prime Minister of India. Chaudhary Charan Singh belongs to Indian Lok Dal. For a short term, he was the Prime Minister of India, Chaudhary Charan Singh. Then Shri Sharad Joshi. Sharad Joshi was the founder of Bharatiya Kisan Union. He was the founder of Bharatiya Kisan Union, BKU. Then Narayana Swami Naidu from Tamil Nadu. Sharad Joshi belongs to UP. Even Charan Singh also belongs to UP. Narayana Swami Naidu of Tamil Nadu. Narayana Swami Naidu of Tamil Nadu, and from Karnataka, Karnataka Rajya Raita Sangha, Karnataka Rajya Raita Sangha, KRRS. Students, please remember it is abbreviation and you have to expand it. KRRS, Karnataka Rajya Raita Sangha. So one of the important organizations in Karnataka which is working for the interest of the farmers in Karnataka. The prominent leaders of Karnataka Rajya Raita Sangha were Professor M.D. Nanjundaswamy, M.D. Nanjundaswamy. He was a founder of this organization. Nanjundaswamy, Professor M.D. Nanjundaswamy. Then N.D. Sundaresh, N.D. Sundaresh. Then Somalingaya, Sheshareddy, Puttannaya. They are the main leaders of Karnataka Rajya Raita Sangha. Sheshareddy, Puttannaya, Somalingaya, M.D. Nanjundaswamy, N.D. Sundaresh. These are the important leaders of Karnataka Rajya Raita Sangha in Karnataka. So totally these leaders fought for the cause of the farmers all over India. They took the initiative to protect the interest of the farmers or the working class in India. So next what we have to know is what are the causes for the farmers movement or peasant movement? What are the causes for the farmers movement? This is one of the important question which may be asked in the examination for 5 marks. Causes for the farmers movement. The first important cause for the farmers movement is feeling of deprivation. Feeling of deprivation. Feeling of deprivation. Students, you must remember that in the country more importance is given to the industrial sector or the organized sector, in the sense that the peasants in India, they deprived almost all the facilities. The peasants in India deprived from almost all the facilities compared to the industries. They face several problems, as already mentioned, several problems of the farmers. That is the shortage of the quality seeds, fertilizers and pesticides, lack of adequate price for their product, and lack of support price, waiving of loans. One of the demand of the farmers when they lost their agricultural production, they demanded for waiving of loans. So waiving of loans, subsidies for agricultural implements, then insurance for crops. When the crop failure has done, then insurance must be there. So lack of crop insurance. So one of the problem, insurance for crops, etc. That means the agricultural sector is facing several problems. We gave more importance to industrial sector. In the independent, even immediately after independence, more importance was given to make India as an industrial country. Even though industries are suffering from loss, we made a repeated investment over the industries. But same initiative was not taken for the agriculture. Even today also, the farmers or the agriculturists are facing several problems, like the shortage of better quality seeds, or even fertilizers or pesticides, then waiving of loans, then subsidies for their product, then lack of support prices or subsidies for the agriculture implements or crop insurance. These are the problems which the farmers are facing. That is why, in order to protect their interest, in order to safeguard their interest, the farmers united together and went for agitation. So, one of the reason, feeling of deprivation. When the industrial sectors are given more importance and agricultural sector has been neglected, then farmers have no other option, they went for agitation. Then second one is the negligence of farmers problem. Negligence of the farmers problem. Farmers problem are neglected even before and after independence. Even before independence, during the British rule also, the cause of the farmers, the interest of the farmers were neglected. For example, we can say that Kheda movement, it was in 1918, Kheda movement. Why Kheda movement happened before independence? In Bengal, the British government banned blue crop, one of the important mid-season crop of the Bengal farmers. It was a blue crop. The Bengal government banned blue crop and they levied huge tax and even forcefully taken over the lands of the farmers. The intention of the British government was to protect the same blue crop in England. England was also one of the main producer of the blue crop. So, in order to protect the interest of the British farmers, the British government in India banned blue crop. They levied huge taxes. The prices go up. So, in order to protect their interest, the farmers in Bengal went for agitation, which was popularly called as the Kheda movement in 1918, where Gandhi supported this particular movement. Mahatma Gandhi was yet to join the Indian National Movement. He joined Indian National Movement in 1919. Before that, he supported this Kheda movement of the farmers. So, it is one of the example where the government is completely neglecting the interest of the farmers. Even now also, after independence also, the farmers has to make agitation in order to fulfill their demands. Today also, the governments are failed to fulfill so many demands of the working class, so though they went for agitation. So, neglect of the farmers problem also one of the cause for the farmers movement. Then the third reason for the farmers movement in India is unbearable debts. Unbearable debts. Unbearable debts. The peasants in India raise loans from the commercial banks, from the money lenders, and even from the private financial institutions. But because of the failure of the monsoon or fluctuations in the market or the tactics of the middlemen in the market, because of all these reasons, they cannot repay their loan properly. They cannot repay their loan properly. What will happen? This will intensify the burden of debt and the interest. When the farmers are not in a position to repay their loan, then the rate of interest will also rise. Because of that reason, the farmers in India will commit suicide. They will commit suicide, which adversely affects the farmer's family also. This created horror among the farmers because of the continuous suicidal cases. It created horror among the farmers and they went for agitation. You may have the idea, in Karnataka, in Maharashtra, in Madhya Pradesh, in Telangana, in Andhra Pradesh, where so many farmers committed suicide, mainly because they are not in a position to repay the debt. The money lenders or the commercial banks are not in a position to protect the farmers. They are continuously making a pressure over the farmers to repay their debt. So ultimately they committed suicide. That's why the farmers today are demanding for waiving of loans, because the unbearable debts which the farmers cannot repay because of the failure of crop or prices of their product in the market. That's why today farmers united together and went for agitation. Then another important reason is the natural calamity. Natural calamity. As already in the very beginning I said, Indian farmers are playing a gamble with the monsoon. Indian farmers are playing a gamble with the monsoon. They mainly depends on the monsoon. And this monsoon is usually irregular. Because of this irregular monsoon, the floods and famine, the diseases to the crops, the soil erosion, the loss of fertility, these are all the related problems. So when the monsoon become irregular, famine in one side, flood in another side, which we are now have the experience, where people lost their houses, people lost their crops because of flood. On the other side, there is a famine, shortage of water. Because of flood, the soil erosion, the fertility of the soil has been lost. So these are the problems of the farmers because of natural calamity. It is not the man-made, it is a natural calamity. Indirectly it is the man-made fault. Today nature is giving a punishment to the people because of their man-made mistakes. Anyhow, these natural calamities directly affected the farmers today. So this situation forced the farmers to go for agitation. So the natural calamity is one of the reason for the farmers movement. The natural calamity in the sense that the monsoon, which is irregular in India, because of that reason the flood and the famine or diseases to the crops or soil erosion or loss of fertility, etc. are there. So in order to protect their interest, the farmers, in order to get a better compensation by the government, the farmers went for agitation. Then fifth one is unscientific land acquisition. Unscientific land acquisition. Unscientific land acquisition. In the name of urbanization and industrialization or the economic development, today the government is forcefully acquiring the lands by the farmers. One thing we must remember, the farmers in India know only one job or occupation, that is agriculture. They don't know other occupation. If the government makes the forceful acquire of the cultivable land, then what the farmers can do today? These cultivable lands should have proper compensation. So many times the government failed to give a proper compensation for these lands, and even the farmers are not provided any alternative land. As already mentioned, farmers know only one occupation, that is agriculture. When their land is forcefully acquired by the government, they should have provided any alternative land. But government failed to provide alternative land to the farmers, and they even did not provide a proper compensation for the workers. As a result, these landless farmers went for agitation to get better compensation or to get alternative land by the government. So this is one of the reason to the farmers movement. So unscientific land acquisition. So in the name of urbanization or development or industrialization, the government forcefully acquired the land by the farmers. While acquiring the land by the farmers, the government failed to give a proper compensation or alternative land to the farmers. So in order to get better compensation or to get alternative land, the farmers today went for agitation. Then the sixth reason for the farmers movement is the support price. Support price. Apart from these so many problems which the farmers today are facing, adequate price for their product is also not provided. By facing all these problems, the farmers today produced their product. When they carry this product to the market, they did not get adequate price for their product. At that time, what the government should do, the government should announce a support price for the product of the farmers. Otherwise, the government should provide storage facilities to the farmers. These things are not provided. So when the support price is provided, then at least the farmers will get a meaningful price for their product. So when the price drops in the market, when the price drops to the agriculture product in the market, then the government should hold the hands of the farmers. How? By announcing the support price to the agricultural products. That's why today the demand of the farmers in India is to announce support price whenever the price of the agricultural product drops in the market. So agitation has been started. They went for agitation. Thus, these are the important reasons why farmers are agitating today, why this movement is started. So, first one, feeling of deprivation. Compared to industrial sector, the agricultural sector is completely neglected. The problems of the farmers are completely neglected. Then negligence, second one, negligence of the farmers problem. Then unbearable debts. The loan which was brought from the farmers by the commercial banks or by the money lenders or from the cooperative societies cannot be repaid in a proper time because of the failure of the agricultural production. So, at that time there are several other reasons also crop up with the problems of the workers, farmers. So, they committed suicide, which directly affects to their family. Then natural calamities, because of the failure of monsoon or because of the irregularity in monsoon, today the farmers are facing several problems. Then unscientific land acquisition in the name of urbanization and industrialization, the government is making a forceful acquire of land where proper compensation is not provided. Then support price, when the price of the agriculture product drops in the market, the government should provide proper support price. So, instead the farmers will went for agitation in order to get support price. So, these are the main causes of the farmers movement. So, next class we are going to study the political implications of the farmers movement. Thank you.